Welcome to the Authentic Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Ruthie Gray, an independent empty nest entrepreneur. Are you one? As an empty nest entrepreneur, setting goals is crucial for sustained growth and achievement. But how do you effectively set goals that encompass both short-term wins and long-term aspirations, say 3 to 5 year goals? And as many of you know, most of our listeners are in the empty nest, meaning we're 50s, 60s, even 70s. And I want to point out, you may not have heard this, but it's a well-known statistic that women in their 60s and 70s are just hitting their most productive time of life. Yeah. Well, today what I'm about to share with you about goal setting is my own approach. It's my personal approach that I have worked out over the last 7 or 8 years. It works for me, but you don't have to do everything I say. I just want you to consider and listen. I don't believe it's a one-size-fits-all. You have your personality and your superpower and your skills, strengths and weaknesses, and so do I. But I would encourage you to try some of these if you haven't yet. A couple months ago, I hosted a retreat for empty nest entrepreneurs in beautiful Treasure Island, Florida, here in my state. And it was just weeks before the hurricanes hit, and they flattened our community. Let me tell you, it is taking months and months to get this cleared from Helene and Milton. Thank the Lord for his perfect timing in protecting retreat attendees and that we got to do that. I'm all about helping my clients find their next steps for moving forward. And most of them are Christian creatives, authors, speakers, podcasters, coaches. And then several are in the product and sales industry, beauty, clothing, etc. And we had 11 of the most delightful attendees. Each one got a turn in the hot seat, a coaching session, and together, along with the community, we determined their goal for the next 100 days. Well, this conversation you're about to hear is one of our follow-up group coaching calls to see how they're doing on their 100-day goals and answer questions on issues where they're getting stuck. But the really exciting part is hearing the progress and breakthroughs they're making as they inch toward December 23rd, the 100-day mark. By the way, would you like help with your big goals? If you're constantly finding yourself distracted or overwhelmed by all the things and wondering which of the hundreds of tasks to prioritize, you can join my newsletter and retreat waitlist to get information about the 2025 retreat. Simply click the retreat link in the show notes or head to AuthenticOnlineMarketing.com/retreat. I get you. We entrepreneurs in empty nest don't just have free time lying around because we are multi-generational caregivers to grandkids, parents, and sometimes our own children. We also face indecision a lot in this stage of life. We need wisdom, and we need community and coaching pouring into us to help us sort the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. We don't have time to waste because we're not getting any younger. I hope you'll join the waitlist and stay in the loop, and you'll get much more than just an email. You'll get tools to help you move forward and make better decisions too. As the conversation you're about to hear starts, you'll hear me reading a question from one of our attendees. So if it sounds like my audio is falling off or I'm talking to myself, I'm just reading the pre-submitted questions for the coaching session. So that's exactly where we start. Are you ready for today's conversation on goal setting? Me too. And now, listen in.
Welcome to Authentic Online Marketing with Ruthie Gray. Growing awareness for your blog, podcast, book, or product involves more than dancing to reels and yelling, "Buy my thing." This show models quality over clamor so you can put your spin on your message and market in a way that feels authentic to you, because nobody wants to sound like an infomercial. And now, here's your host, Ruthie Gray.
How do you set your goals? Do you break them down by category, set deadlines? I do not have a 1, 3, or 5-year plan, but I want to formulate those long-term goals while also having defined short-term goals for quick wins. And that was a great question. So I'm going to tell you my method. This is called the Move Forward Minimal Journal. This is put out by Krista Hutchins. But I do this every year. This is like my 6th year on this. And so you could just write a line a day. So it's like I will do, like today was the 10th. So I wrote on the 9th, just a few sentences about what happened. And it's usually personal and business related. And in the middle of it, it has a checkpoint for 5-year goals. It says, list 3 5-year goals and at least one thing you're doing each month to work toward them. And so then it has the month, January, February, March, April, May, and you can see that I have listed those out. Here's my 5-year goals. Number 1, get traditionally published. And that's just like one book. And then number 2 is get on staff at Speak Up. Speak Up is my conference that I love. That is my goal, to get on the staff. Number 3 is kind of like something I'm toying with. Write a fictional book series akin to the Mitford series based on my Gulfport hometown in Florida. So then every month I have written in these little squares how I'm doing with those. It's taken me a long time to actually make a 5-year goal. But I know that in my heart, those are mine, especially the number 1 and the number 2 goal. Those are mine. But it's okay if you change your mind. But the other thing that really keeps me on track, and this speaks to the rest of your question, I always get this every year, the Cultivate Planner. It's a year planner. I've done this for 6 years, and it keeps me on task. And at the beginning, it walks you through questions about what you want to cultivate. Like, name what fires you up. Look at this. At the beginning of the year, I wrote all of this. It kind of walks you through all of these questions about really where you're going and how to go last year, what worked, what didn't work. And so then you brainstorm your goals, and then you go with your yearly goals. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 goals. Look at this, how I wrote these in, and then I marked through them as the year progressed, as I realized how little importance some of them had and how important some of them were. I would just write in something else. And honestly, what I realized is, at the most, I really just need 6. At the very most. And one of them, at least one of them, should be personal, if not 2. For every 3 goals, big picture goals for your year, one of them should be personal. And my personal goal is to strengthen my muscles, because I can't get out of the floor with a 30-pound toddler. So I've done all these other goals, or else I have marked them out and wrote the new ones based on my 5-year goals. How I keep up with this is, in this, every quarter, it has a goal reset. And that's how I've figured out what needs to go and, mark the line through them. And every month, at the end of the month, I sit down and write, and it says what worked, what isn't working, what are you thankful for? And then at the beginning of the month, it's like, what are you working on now? What has to get done? And I will write those things down so that I at least know that, like important to-dos on my calendar, goals to make progress on, and on my mind. That's what those 4 squares are at the beginning of each month. So that way I keep myself on task. And it's funny when you do that you realize again, how important really is this up here that I thought was so important at the beginning of the year. It's interesting. So Brenda, based on that, does that help? And what questions do you have?
Yeah, that really does help. I'm glad you said that about one should be personal, because it's like sometimes I write down too many and they get all mixed up together. And I like that you said about 6 goals is probably what you should have. Thank you. That was really helpful.
How often do you read over your 5-year goals and 1-year goals? Every month when I go to that page, that's when I read over them so that it stays top of mind. I do want to know how you guys are doing with your 100-day goal.
I met with a couple friends and told them what I'd learned. And this one gal just goes, "You need to reverse engineer." Well, I said, I'm not an engineer brain. But what I did one night that week was I just had a notebook and I wrote down approximately how long it would take me to write one chapter. That was your challenge to me. And I just guessed. I guessed 6.5 hours per chapter. So then I went to the 100 days, which someone said it was December 23rd. I took out the week of Thanksgiving because my mind is gravy that week. Mm-hmm. And too many kids at home. So I took out that week, added up the hours Monday through Friday only, because I have so much to do on the weekends. So Monday through Friday, divided up the 6.5 hours for that 5. And anyway, somehow I did the math with my calculator and came up that I needed to write specifically on my book, not the talks I'm preparing, not my newsletter, not whatever, just the book, 2 hours a day. The next Monday I started and I wrote a chapter in 2 days because all the stories are already written. The essays are written. Then God did this marvelous thing. Lois Flowers wrote me out of the blue. I just remembered her name from, blogging days. And so we started chatting back and forth and I sent her my book proposal. Oh, because another thing you told me, Ruthie, is I had to query editors or publishing houses. Well, every time you do one, they give you another stipulation, a different template. Mm-hmm. The one I did that day said, "Are the 2 chapters you're submitted professionally edited?" So then I reached out to Lois, asked her how much she would charge. She came back with, "Could I talk to you and maybe set up some solidifying ideas?" So we met last Wednesday. We completely reformatted and changed the focus. So now I'm not writing new chapters. I'm going back and revising the 17 chapters I've already written. So I'm going backwards, but I feel so much freer. And I sent one query yesterday with the new title. She even gave me new titles yesterday. So it's very exciting. It's like I look forward to getting up and doing it.
I'll update you on my 100-day goal. My 100-day goal is the website. And so I've got it's a coming soon little thing at my, address. And we're working on the development site. We've got some first steps laid in on the blog, many more pages to come, but I'm starting to actually see things come together. And it's really exciting because it feels like a solid through line for me. Like I'm forced to dial in some messaging. I'm forced to these kinds of questions about categories. As we layer these pieces together on the website, it just feels like things are starting to tighten, which is something I've been longing for all year. So I feel like I'm on track. I hope it will be fully finished and live by Christmas, but I'm also giving myself permission to do it well. And if it's January 1st when it launches, so be it.
So I've successfully sent an email out every week. This week was late, but it went out. And I realized my best time to send an email is truly on Sunday night. I just did a huge market here at the Memphis Agri Center. No, it didn't go out until last night. So I didn't have as many opens or as many clicks. So I saw that wasn't a really good time, but I was determined to get it out. So I did. And then I'm posting once a week on Instagram.
Maybe just one one a week is just what it's got to be right now. You have
Right.
so much in-person events this fall.
I do.
Sounds like everybody is fired up about their goals and moving forward. And I'm so proud of y'all. And I'm so happy that y'all are continuing the conversation in your chat. Wasn't this episode fun? I just love working with these ladies. They are so amazing and they've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. And it's because they cut tasks that weren't moving them towards their 100-day goal. But first, they had to determine what that goal was. And sometimes we need to slow down to do that. In this episode, I shared ways that I slow down, and that's by using the Move Forward Line a Day journal and the Cultivate Planner to document goals and track progress and reset objectives quarterly and monthly. But first, you really need to know what it is you want to accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years. I suggest taking time to pray and assess. Also, in this episode, you heard participants share their 100-day goal progress. Sue wants to finish her book, so she reverse engineered her writing schedule with input from one of my editors, which revitalized her writing process and cut more mental fatigue. Elizabeth updated us on her website launch, which she has been bound and determined to finish and has made so much progress. And Melanie shared her newsletter progress, promoting her fall sales for her boutique truck. It's easy to plow through each day trying to get as much done as possible, but I don't advise that, especially as I've revised how I work in the past year. We don't need to do all the things. We need to do a few things well to move us forward toward our big goals. What are your big goals? I encourage you to check out the Move Forward Line a Day journal and the Cultivate Planner and sign up for the next retreat and get your decision prayer guide. Until next time, be sure to share your message, your way, in your own authentic voice.